From the looks of things, it's hard to imagine anyone making it out of this bus alive, but 17-year-old Juan Holt did. He says that when the truck slammed into the bus, he thought it was the end of the world.
I fell, and people was on me. There was a couple of dead people up on me. And then all the smoke just went into my mouth, and I said, Jesus.
Juan says that word comforted him, lifted him to his feet and out of the burning bus.
The county coroner stepped onto the bus that night and saw a holocaust. Directly in front of him, the tops of two skulls flashed in the beam of his light. The bare white bone streaked with crimson. Two bodies were lying face down in the aisle where they fell, one atop of the other. No, that was three bodies in a stack. He could just make out the one on the bottom. To the right of them, two bodies were draped over the back of a seat, their flesh seared right to their ribs. Every trace of clothing had been consumed by the flames. He couldn't tell if he was looking at males or females. All he saw was burned meat and bone. But he could see that these human beings' last moments of life had been spent desperately trying to get to the rear door. They were piled headlong in the aisle and on the rear seats stretching out toward him. The scene was so horrific that one of the survivors asked at the time, "Was that the rapture?" 27 members of a church group, most of them teenagers, were killed when a school bus taking them home from an amusement park burst into flames, seconds after it collided head-on with a pickup truck traveling the wrong way on an interstate highway. The bus was crowded with 63 sleepy kids and 3 chaperones. It quickly burst into flames. Its gas tank ruptured by the collision, and its polyurethane upholstery stoking the blaze. The victims, most of whom died of smoke inhalation before being burned beyond recognition, had spent the day at Kings Island Amusement Park north of Cincinnati and were going home to Radcliff near Fort Knox when the crash occurred shortly before 11 p.m. on May 18, 1988. 30 to 40 other passengers were injured, at least 8 seriously, in the crash, which was among the worst bus accident in U.S. history. The bus was carrying teenagers and adults, many of them military dependents, from the First Assembly of God Church in Radcliff, about 35 miles south of Louisville. The driver of the pickup, Larry Mahoney, 34, of Worthville, was in serious condition at a Louisville hospital. Mahoney's blood was tested for drugs and alcohol. He had a blood alcohol level of 0.24% at the time of the crash, significantly above the 10% legal limit at the time in Kentucky. Mahoney's 1987 Toyota pickup had been traveling north in the southbound lanes of Interstate 71 for some distance before slamming into the bus, rupturing the gas tank. Flames tore through the bus from front to the back, survivors said, leaving only the back door and windows as escape routes. The wreckage of the bus, with victims still aboard, was hauled by flatbed truck to the Carrollton National Guard Armory. The bodies were laid out in bags in the Armory's large formation room, and state medical examiners spent most of the day conducting autopsies and matching dental records to the victims. Most of those who were killed, 19 females and 8 males, were found in positions indicating that they had been trying to reach the bus's rear emergency door when they were overcome by smoke. At least 8 of the injured were in critical condition. "I just heard it crash, felt the impact, and looked up and saw flames," said 14-year-old Wayne Cox, an asthmatic who suffered smoke inhalation. "They spread pretty fast. I was pinned. Everything was pretty wild. I was under a lot of people. That's probably what saved me from getting burned." Truck driver Patrick Thomas Presley said he arrived on the scene shortly after the accident and pried open the emergency door and began freeing the passengers. But a second explosion hampered rescue efforts, and there was nothing he could do. The driver of the bus was trapped between the steering wheel and the seat from the impact, Presley said. He was trying to help as much as he could by yelling to tell the kids to get off the bus, but he was burning at the same time. We saw several kids sit there and burn as we were watching the fire and the bus go up, Presley said. But there was just no more that we could do. There was no way that we can get back onto the bus unless we were to get burned and catch fire ourselves. The bus had just refueled just before the accident, and it's speculated that the gas tank may have ruptured, spewing gas all over the bus and passengers. A commercial bus company executive told the Associated Press that school buses are not designed for high-speed highway use. A school bus is designed to transport a high number of students over rural roads at relatively low speed. After the accident, the drunk driver, Larry Mahoney, was sentenced to 16 years in prison on 27 counts of manslaughter, while the person who caused the deaths of 27 people was reprimanded. Many parents and family members still felt that there was more that needed to be done to ensure a tragedy like the Carrollton Bus Crash never happened again. Prior to the Carrollton Bus Crash, most school buses did not have the safety standards that today's school buses do. Before stricter safety standards were enforced, most Kentucky schools used gasoline. Now modern-day school buses run on much less volatile diesel fuel. School bus gas tanks also have cages around them to protect them from being punctured. The cages are influenced directly from the Carrollton Bus Crash, during which the gas tank was punctured. Now, Kentucky school buses also feature a fuel system that is designed to slow fuel leaks and prevent massive fuel losses from happening during a disastrous situation. The punctured gas tank paired with the highly flammable bus seat material was a recipe for disaster. As the gasoline flowed from the punctured tank, sparks from the metal running against the ground ignited it. This combination of issues caused the bus to be engulfed in flames in minutes, with the internal temperature of the bus rising to 2,000 degrees. Now school bus seat materials are made out of non-flammable material. One of the biggest factors in the Carrollton Bus Crash that contributed to the deaths of 27 people was the limited number of emergency exits at the time. The bus that was used to transport the group back from their trip to Kings Island only had 2 emergency exits, one at the front of the bus where people boarded and one at the back. Because the drunk driver hit the Carrollton bus head on and pushed the gas tank back into the bus, the front door was unable to be used as an exit. This led to all 67 people on the bus trying to exit from a singular back door. A body jam occurred, with the only adult to survive the crash exiting a window due to her small stature. Several students attempted to kick out windows to exit, but were unsuccessful. Now school buses in Kentucky are required to have 9 emergency exits. There must be front and back door emergency exits, a side door exit route, 4 emergency window exits, and 2 exits that are on the roof. Kentucky school buses have more required emergency exits than any other buses in the country.